Punishment wasn't just about death, it was about making an example. Today we're diving into the 5 most gruesome punishments, the methods so brutal they'd haunt the crowd for weeks, even centuries. First on the list, the executioner's hook, an instrument of execution and torture used throughout Europe between the 13th and 18th centuries. The typical hook was made of forged iron with a thick shaft for structural strength, a wide curve to engage the body, and a sharpened point for penetration, were between 25 and 40 centimeters in length. The choice of where to insert the hook was not random, but calculated based on the crime and social status of the victim. In some executions, the hook was inserted through the victim's rib under the arm, piercing between bones without immediately hitting vital organs. The victim was then hoisted and left to hang sideways, the body's weight gradually tearing the flesh around the hook, while blood loss and shock eventually caused death. In other executions, the hook was inserted under the jaw, penetrating through the mouth or throat, and exiting through the top of the head. This method was faster, but no less brutal, with the victim often suffocating or bleeding to death within minutes to hours. A particularly well-documented case occurred in the year 1535 in the city of Munster during the Anabaptist rebellion. After the city was recaptured by Catholic forces of the Prince Bishop, the rebellion's leaders were captured and publicly executed in ways designed to maximize terror. Jan van Leyden, who had declared himself king of the New Jerusalem during the rebellion, was tortured with red-hot pincers for more than an hour in the public square before being killed. His companions Bernhard Knipperdaling and Bernhard Krechting were similarly tortured and executed. After their deaths, the bodies of all 3 were placed in iron cages and hung from hooks on the tower of St. Lambert's Church, where they remained for decades as a warning against heresy and rebellion. But the hook was not used only for final execution. It was also an instrument of torture, particularly in interrogations where confession was sought. A victim could be suspended by the hook briefly, experiencing the agony of the body's weight-tearing flesh, then lowered and questioned. If they refused to confess, they would be suspended again, the cycle repeating until confession was obtained or the victim lost consciousness or died. Next, boiling alive. This wasn't folklore, it was real, and it was horrifying. In 1531, King Henry VIII passed a law, the Actia Poisoning, specifically targeting poisoners. One of the most infamous victims was a cook named Richard Roos, accused of attempting to kill by poisoning. He was chained and repeatedly lowered into a vat of scalding water until he died. Witnesses said he roared mighty loud, and some spectators were physically sick at the sight. This brutal method was used until 1547, when the law was finally abolished. Next, Devil's Chair. Imagine being tied to a chair made of iron. Its entire surface, seat, floor and armrest is covered with sharp iron spikes, some reaching 5 centimeters in length, arranged in a methodical array designed to maximize suffering without causing a quick death. The Devil's Chair probably appeared in Germany or in the regions of the Holy Roman Empire during the 13th or 13th or 14th centuries, although a precise date is difficult due to the rarity of documents. Each chair was unique, built by local blacksmiths according to the specifications of the judicial or religious authorities. But the basic principle remained constant: a chair covered with spikes on which the victim was forced to sit, with entrails preventing any movement that could have eased the pressure. The number, length and arrangement of the spikes varied. Some chairs had short, densely grouped spikes, creating a surface of needles that pierced the flesh in hundreds of points. Others had longer, more spaced spikes, penetrating deeper but in fewer places. Some included special spikes positioned in particularly sensitive areas to maximize the pain. The process of use was meticulously cruel. The victim, often already weakened by imprisonment, hunger, or previous torture, was forced to sit on the chair while the tortioners tied arms, legs, and often the torso with chains or leather straps. Once tied, each movement tore the flesh in new directions by the spikes. The victim was confronted with an impossible choice: remaining completely still, allowing the spikes to penetrate deeply under the weight of the body, or trying to ease the pressure by moving, causing tears and additional lacerations. The Devil's Chair was often heated before use, burning the metal in addition to piercing the skin. Some variants included braziers placed under the chair, gradually heating the metal while the victim remained attached, turning the device into a combination of perforations and burns.